evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 8, Episode 22, DJI ready to prove security to USA. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. Before I get to greet everybody, 24 hours from now, guess what I'm going to be doing? Watching Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1. Yeah, Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. We all know Florida Panthers. That's right. And yours truly, along with my much better and more beautiful half, Valerie, will be going to Game 4 in Sunrise, Florida on June the 12th. So we are looking forward to that. We're going to have a lot of fun. Go Cats, go. All right. See, we got a full house here tonight. Joe's here. Captain Ray is here. Akarasho. Josh is here. CT Pirate. Let's see who else we got. Drone Shots. Jody. Let's see who else. Waypoint New England. Trini. Welcome, Trini. Good to see you tonight. Art is here. Welcome, Art. Captain Ray is here. Lauren is here. Welcome, Lauren. Flying Flynn Media. Welcome, John. Casey Crime Fighter. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Go Panthers. That's right, Josh. You got that right. Go Oilers, Lauren. I wouldn't expect anything less from someone from Alberta. So that's absolutely right. So, okay. Got a full house here tonight. We have a full house of things to talk about tonight, and not much in the way. Well, actually, there is some stuff in the way of new stuff coming along. Oh, side note, I am doing, Richard, welcome. Good to see you tonight. I am making good progress. On Monday, I went to what they do is, because I have my temporaries in, it covers up a lot of the stitches, but the ones that were exposed, they would snip them. Well, I was expecting going in there like, oh, this won't be any kind of a big deal or anything. It was a big deal. She got tweezers, pulled on the stitches, and then put a scissors in there to cut them. You would think it would be pretty harmless, right? Yeah, there was quite a bit of uncomfortableness. Let me put it to you that way. And what was real interesting was one of the things that they don't want me doing. Well, I have to brush my teeth kind of differently now. And one of the things they gave me, it looks like a syringe, and it has a little, you don't even want to call it needle, but a tube coming out of the syringe that's kind of bent. And what it is they want you, instead of using something like a water pick, which you can't use right now, to do that, to clean areas in your mouth, to get some food particles out, because food particles can get trapped in here, because again, this isn't permanent. So you have to be real careful with that. So they showed me how to do that. So, all right, we're all up to date on all of that. Well, we all know, let's see here. Yeah, we all know Father's Day is coming up. Okay. Well, Drone DJ has a DJI gift buying guide for Father's Day. So we're going to take a quick peek at that here. So 5 DJI gifts Dad will love this Father's Day. Okay. Osmo Mobile, 7P gimbalized stabilizer, $149. That's a great price for that. For me, I had one, and it was really of a pain in the butt to set it up and to use it. So I ended up selling it because it just wasn't right for me. It wasn't a good fit. So, if that's something that you think that a dad in your life could use, go for it. Okay. Osmo Action 4 standard combo, $270 after 10% discount. That's a fantastic deal. That is an excellent camera. That would be something that I would highly recommend to get for the dad in your life. They will really enjoy it. That is an excellent and outstanding camera. The Flip, a lot of people really like the Flip. People that have it have really enjoyed it. And this is number 3 on the list and shown for $439. Okay. And then the Power 1000 portable power station, $549 with on-page coupon. That is a really, they have a really great price, because they started out right around $1,000. And it's a great power bank. It's a great all-in-one solution. It's great if you do a lot of, yeah, Josh, yeah, there are a lot of people like you that love the Flip. But that Power 1000 is really, it's a great solution. Thank you, Trini. I appreciate that. I just saw your comment. Thank you so much. We're getting there. We're getting there. And I've lost almost 8.5 pounds too. So that's kind of good there. But no, that Power 1000 is a great solution, especially if you're out in the field. If you fly a lot, you can leave it in the back of your SUV or truck or vehicle and be able to charge batteries that way, especially between shoots if you do something like that. So, like Lauren's comment. Wonder why, Lauren. That's Lauren, your timing is impeccable, because the Mini 4 Pro Fly More combo with DJI RC2 is on sale for $1,099. And as Lauren just said, Mini 4 is on sale for a reason. Hint, hint. Okay. I think we know what the hint is. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. We spent an extensive amount of time last week. We're going to talk just a little bit about it this week. So, yeah, it is, Josh. It really is. Or CT Pirate. Yeah, I agree 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, Akarasha. That's the $1 million question. We're going to kind of hone in on that here. Ron's going to be joining us here in a little bit. So, but yeah, the Mini 4 Fly More combo with DJI RC2 is $1,099, and I went out to Amazon and verified it today. That is exactly what it is. So, yeah, that is going to be a fantastic deal, and there is a reason for that. Let's go ahead and we'll look at the next article here. Now, I'm pretty sure that I shared this last week, but I'm going to go ahead and share this again here. DJI Mini 5 Pro surfaces and FCC findings amid regulatory uncertainty. Okay, and of course, FCC documentation reveals the Mini 5 Pro's model number and includes a label indicating compliance with U.S. regulations. Mini 5 Pro's rumored feature significant upgrades over its predecessor, the Mini 4 Pro, which was released in September 2023. So it's kind of like 2 years with that. That's a long time. That is a long time without an upgrade for the drone. Speculations include larger 1-inch camera sensor and LiDAR-based obstacle avoidance, while the FCC label confirms a whopping 4680 milliamp hour battery that could provide an extended flight time of up to 50 minutes. Ideally, all this will be done while maintaining a weight under 250 grams to comply with FAA registration exemptions for recreational photos. Okay, and I'm talking about the Mini 3 Pro. It was released in May of 2022. So there was about a year between the 3 and the 4, and there's been 2 years between 4 and the 5 coming out here. DJI's future in the U.S. market faces uncertainty, and we're going to talk about that here coming up. In the meantime, the drone maker appears to be accelerating its FCC filings, possibly to secure approvals for any potential restrictions take effect. Okay. Strategy suggests that while the Mini 5 Pro's FCC filing is a positive step, doesn't necessarily indicate immediate product launch. And one of the things that we've heard, and I think we talked about it last week, guys, is that it's going to be a September release. So it's going to be almost exactly 2 years. Yeah, Fly Guy Merrill, yeah. You hit the nail on the head, my friend. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And I think, and one of the things I want to talk about while we're here, and I want to spend a couple of minutes on this, is, do not get me wrong, okay? I love all our drone content creators out there. Russ, Dobo, Billy Kyle, everybody who has the Mavic 4 Pro. Absolutely love them. They're putting out great videos about it. But you know what? For me, I can't watch the videos, because if I watch the videos, I'm going to get excited. And I'm going to get excited for no reason at all, because, I want to be able to, can't really do that right now. And as a side note and a reminder, and I don't know if you guys saw this last week or not, but I think it was Eddie Nunez. And Eddie, if you're in the chat, let me know. He posted that State Farm will not, if you purchase a Mavic 4 Pro overseas, they will not cover that. Okay. And I think that's some important information to know. Also, too, as I mentioned last week, I emailed a seller, one of the sellers from South Korea, that Zach used, and they told me that the DJI warranty is only good in country. Said that they have a warranty for 1 year, okay, with them, which is good. Would you have some recourse, but you got to ship it back to South Korea, okay? So there's some give and take there. So that's up to you, you know, if you want to make that decision. For me, I'm holding off until calmer waters prevail, and then we're going to be talking about what's coming up this week, because I think it's important. So that's a good point, Josh. That is a real good point. You know, for me, I really want to get. I sold my Mini 4 Pro a little bit ago in anticipation of a Mini 5 Pro, and it's been a while, and I'm really looking forward to it. And you know, I'm really hoping and crossing my fingers that all of this matter of tariffs and pricing and all this stuff, and DJI not selling these in the U.S. is going to go by the wayside, and that we're going to get these here. And we're going to talk about all that coming up here. But you know, I just wanted to get that out. You know, and this is in no indifference to our buddies who put out fantastic content. I mean, Billy put out some good videos about it. Dobo has. Russ has. I think Sean from Air Photography has. I love all these guys, but it's no indifference to them. I just personally, I can't watch it, okay? I'm just yeah, you know, Richard, a lot of people are, and that's what a lot of people are finding out right now, that one of the sayings that Dobo told me years ago, probably about at least 5 or 6 years ago, enjoy the drone that you have. And he's so right. And, you know, the Mavic 3 Pro is a very capable drone and is just fine and will do the job. The Air 3S is a very capable drone and will do the job. I know a lot of people who use the Air 3S in a professional capacity, such as like real estate. And I think that's the drone choice that Ron uses when he does his real estate photography and videography, is the Air 3S. It's a fantastic platform. It does everything that you want from it. Okay. Absolutely everything that you want. And, you know, frustrated. Yeah. I think a lot of people are at this point about that. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But for me personally, you know, when it's available in the US, I'm going to start watching these videos. Okay. Because you know what? That is the greatest method to being able to learn how to do things. Okay. If you see Billy do like tracking, or Russ will be doing some other kind of feature, or Dobo will be doing something. Okay. That's how, you know, I watch a lot of these videos, and that's how I learn to do it. And then I go out there, and that's what I try to do when I show you guys when I get my drone to do something like that. So that's kind of how I go. And then of course some DJI tutorials don't hurt either, but I think that's the main way. You know, I glean from their videos, and and they do a great job. All of them do a great job with that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from about that. So, all right, let's see what else is going on. DJI is going to talk about some things that they're going to release. Now, this article, by the way, everything I'm talking about tonight was posted in Bill the Drone Reviewer Facebook group and Facebook page. I had some extra time today, so I got everything out to the Facebook page. Now, one of the things that, let's see here. I want to get the first one here. Okay. Now, I went out to Jasper and Igor's X accounts, Twitter, and found some information out there. And there's Mr. Ron Brown. How are you, sir?
Hello, Bill, and hello, everybody out there in the chats. How's everybody tonight?
I think everybody's doing fine. Everybody was ready to roll tonight. Had a good crew at the start. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, 24 hours from now, my eye's going to be glued to the television set, watching the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, wow. Now, is that a rematch of last year's Cup?
Yes, it is a rematch of last year's Cup. And the last time this happened was 2008, 2009, Detroit Red Wings versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. And
wow.
The Red Wings won in 2008. The Penguins won in 2009. So
you're looking for a very competitive series.
Yes, it's going to be a very competitive series. I'm guessing it will. My prediction is Panthers will win it in 6. So, and I'm going to game 4.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Let me put it to you this way. With what I paid for tickets, I could have bought a Mavic 4 Pro, the base package. Yeah. But I paid list. I didn't pay, it wasn't, I got it during a pre-sale because I was a season ticket holder. So anyway, I'm about to talk about, this wasn't posted on Drone DJ or Drone XL, but Jasper and Igor posted a lot of information out there. And I wanted to kind of go over this before we get to the main topic of the evening. Now let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and share this here. Now, Jasper shared about every time we see DJI products like this getting leaked in FCC filings, it means DJI Global made an error in their product line, and it's heavily delayed and possibly canceled. Just like we've seen with the RC Track and Osmo 360. This guy stated 180 days have passed since the confidentiality request to FCC for DJI Action 6. Today was the day someone could grab the images. After Osmo 360, this is the second time the confidentiality expires before the product is out. Mind that this is not the final product. In other words, that's a prototype right there of the Osmo Action 6. So it kind of sounds it's going like the direction of the RC Track, Ron.
Yeah, Bill, to your knowledge, besides DJI's drones, have any of their other products been stuck in customs? Any place have their action cameras or their pocket cameras or their mics? Has anything else, to your knowledge, got stuck in customs?
No, just drones. Okay. I know Power 1000 has shipped. I know all the cameras have shipped. Okay. Mics have shipped. There hasn't been an issue with anything else except drones.
Okay.
To my knowledge.
Right. So that's going to be interesting to see if, when the next non-drone product gets released, and will it be for sale in the U.S.?
Well, that won't be too long, because another thing that Jasper posted too is, DJI is coming out with a vacuum cleaner. Okay.
Right.
It's called the DJI Romo.
Yeah. Hey, the Romo, is that named after the former Dallas Cowboy quarterback?
It could be. It could be. Now,
and famous announcer nowadays.
Yes, famous announcer. Now, we had a Roomba in our previous house, and the big problem I had with that was, a couple of things. One, it filled up very quickly because it has a real small storage for like debris. Okay. So, once it got filled up, it would go back to its home base. And number two, you had to set up these little beacons all over the place for it to kind of guide it. And the other thing was, like, we had a bare floor there, but we also had a carpet on top of it, and it would have a hard time getting up over that hump to get on the carpet. Okay. So that's why we sold it, when we moved, because, most of our floor here is tile. So, for us, for something like that, that doesn't matter. But apparently on this, it's going to be programmable. They're going to have some type of way to program it to do the rooms like they should be done. I mean, the one thing we really liked it for in the other house was vacuuming under the bed. It did a fantastic job under there, because you can't really get a real size vacuum cleaner under the bed. So, but this is probably something that's going to come out, and something like this, Ron, it's not going to be held up in customs. It's going to come over. I mean, what is the DJI Romo going to steal security secrets from the federal government?
It may be mapping your house out, Bill.
It's true. It may be mapping my house out so they can, yeah.
So when we get invaded or whatever, they'll be able to navigate around all your rooms.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, whoever's lobbying to stop DJI drones doesn't give a what about vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Dr. Joseph last night told you guys I was buying the Air 3S Flymore combo for $21.99. It was not available in the mothership. I canceled and got it from $15.99. Apparently, what happened, Bill, is when the tariffs hit, they marked that drone up to $21.99, but then they slashed it, put it on sale immediately. But in the last recently, that has changed. But apparently, it's back to normal, where they basically, I guess they eat the tariff pricing and sell for the old $15.99.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
And Dr. Joseph, he asked last night, he wanted advice. whether he should wait for the Mavic 4 Pro, to come available in the US, or just grab a hold of the Air 3S. And, it's hard to, we don't know anything. We're just guessing. But some of us said, well, you better grab that Air 3S while you still can.
Yeah, that was a wise decision. And Dr.
Because if the Mavic 4 Pro never makes it, the Air 3S will be the most advanced drone DJI has ever released in the US.
Correct. That would be absolutely correct. Well, Igor was busy posting as well too, showing us the prototype for the DJI RC Track. And again, these are 4 pictures of the prototype. So, this is just, again, a prototype is a working model, or maybe even a mock-up. It may not even actually be working to resemble what this is.
And of course, if that only works for the Mavic 4 Pro, that's a product that's useless to us in the US then.
Right. Now, the other thing, Igor shared with us 2 other things here. And this was the prototype of the Action 6. And again, links are in the out on Village Owner, your Facebook group and page to see this. And he also shared something else. Let me see if I get this up here. And he shared the Osmo 360 right here, and there's some pictures of that. There again was a prototype and probably is a non-working model right here. So take with that what you will. But I mean, it's real interesting, Ron, that all this stuff comes up with everything that we're going to talk about coming up. All this stuff is just churned up to the surface right now. And, it's coming out front and center. And, since I've been doing this for the past 7 or 8 years, this is the most product I've seen from DJI that they're coming out with all at once. I mean, This is just a lot that they're throwing out there.
Of course, they have many more product lines now than they did back in our heyday or whatever, Bill. So that's one reason too. They have almost as many cameras and camera accessories to do drones nowadays. And of course, the late summer, fall is the traditional time for DJI to put out their Action series cameras. Their pockets come a little bit later. So usually this type of stuff appears in the fall from DJI.
Right.
Yeah.
And well,
I don't know if you're going to get this, but it was either Igor or Jasper also leaked about a DJI Mic 3. Yes,
I did see that as well too. So that's very interesting here. We're going to start talking about the DJI security issue, because I know this has been a hot topic on a lot of people's minds right here. And I want to thank our good friend, and I want to mention him by name, Marcus Crawford. Marcus put out a fantastic video, Ron. I really like that. He really explained things very clearly, succinctly, as a matter of factly, not very objectively. And I put a good comment out there, and I also messaged Marcus to let him know that. So if you haven't watched that video, please do go watch it. Marcus did a great job on that. And Marcus, if you're watching, kudos to you. That was fantastic work on that. And what you said needed to be said. People needed to hear that, okay? Because a lot of people were I posted the article, Ron, on my YouTube channel on the that area where you can post things, okay, out on YouTube. A couple of people were just like automatically, negative Nelly, getting all kind of throwing it right back at me. And I said, look, I'm just telling you guys what Hey Castellu posted on Drone XL. Don't shoot the messenger here, okay? Right. If you want to have a discussion with Hey. This is the article he put out. And Hey is just trying to keep people informed, all right? And I think a lot of times you, myself, others who are content creators, especially in the drone platform, we catch a lot of grief, all right? And you know what, folks? We're just messengers, okay? We never, and I know Ron has, I know Marcus has, and others, we're just telling you information that's out there, okay? And it's up to you guys to decide what you're going to do and how you discern that information. But we want to keep you informed. That's our number one job, okay? Our number one job, most of the time, you know, we're letting you know about upcoming DJI products. We're letting you know about features on drones. You know, that's normally what we do here, and things are real askew right now. Okay, they're not. This isn't normal. Okay,
Yeah, I think, but we try to be as clear as we can, and when we're speaking facts and when we're speaking speculation.
exactly.
Even
Now,
news stories, like lots of times we're reporting what Drone XL or Drone DJ says, but you know, quoting this is what they say, not that it's fact, it's what they're reporting.
exactly, and this is the article that I'm talking about. Trump's new orders likely to ban Chinese DJI drones, impacting pilots and drone industry. Okay, and I got a slew of comments from this, and you know, in one thing I had to post a note up there, pin a note, and say, look, I'm just repeating information that was posted by Drone XL and Hi Kesselu. Okay,
And Drone XL is not the only one reporting this either, so this has
right.
comes from other sources.
Other sources have reported this as well. There's a well-known technical publication called The Verge. They've reported it. The Washington Post was the first one that actually reported this story. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, you got to have a subscription to read their articles. But, okay, you know, and I think a lot of people read this, Ron, and they're like, okay, you know, they're ready to jump off a cliff. They're ready to go and just, just end it all, throw all their Jones in the trash and be done with it and everything. And I'm like, you know what? Time out here. All right. And Marcus, I think Marcus talked a lot of people off the ledge in his video. I think he did, because what's going to happen with this, and I think, and I want to focus on this article here that I think was out by Drone DJ here, and I thought I had it up. Yeah. Okay. This article right here, DJI welcomes drone ban review to prove security measures. All right. And I'm not going to read the article. It was previously reported by Drone DJ. The Trump administration is finalizing executive orders aimed at reshaping the commercial drone landscape in the U.S. These measures could limit Chinese companies, notably DJI and Autel, from selling new drone models unless they pass a national security review. DJI has long advocated for evaluation based on technical merit rather than country of origin. In a new statement to Drone DJ, a DJI spokesman emphasizes the company's commitment to transparency. Okay. While we currently do not have additional information regarding the development of potential executive orders, DJI welcomes and embraces any opportunities to demonstrate our privacy controls and security features here. A spokesman further indicated highlights from the stipulations of Section 1709, which mandates within 1 year of enactment, a designated national security agency must assess whether DJI's equipment poses an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security. Failure to conduct this analysis would result in DJI being automatically added to the FCC covered list, effectively barring the company from launching new products in the U.S. market. Okay, DJI will not be able to launch new products in the U.S. market, not through any fault of its own, but simply because no agency undertook the study of our products. Okay. These audits have found that the tested products are safe, secure, and do not transmit data to China or any other unauthorized parties. While potential executive orders aimed to bolster national security and support domestic drone manufacturers, DJI views the accelerated review process as a chance to reaffirm its commitment to security and maintain its presence in the U.S. market. All right. DJI has long advocated for policies based on technological merit, not country of origin. We look forward to continuing to engage the proper government authorities to ensure that any decisions are made based on the quality and safety of our products. In other words, the whole gist of this article, and I wish they would have mentioned it here, okay? Because the executive order, one of the executive orders from President Trump, is enabling one of these agencies, whether it's the NSA, FBI, CIA, whoever is going to do this review, to actually do the review.
Yeah, he require it to happen, right?
Right. He's forcing them to do this review so this doesn't go by the wayside. Okay?
And that's something DJI wants. They want this review.
Exactly. They welcome this review. They want this review because the review is going to show what we already know, what these independent audits already shown, that there is no security concern for this. Okay. And I think, most, if not all of you would agree with me on something like that. Okay.
Right. They've been reviewed by people, security agencies that work for, the government, people that do security for the government have reviewed them and found nothing.
And exactly. And I think Price Waterhouse, or one of the big 8 accounting firms, sent their audit team in to review that, and they came up with the same conclusion. And this has happened on multiple occasions here. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually a good thing. I know a lot of you are real confused about all this. And again, I really want to reference you to watch Marcus's video, because he gets into some detail on this. But basically, that executive order is enabling one of the, I call them the alphabet agencies, CIA,
Right.
NSA, whoever, FBI, one of them to go ahead and to do this security audit now. All right.
Right. And
Now,
people like Representative Satonic, she doesn't want this all, because if she wanted it, if she knew there was something, they were going to find something, she'd have had somebody do the audit months ago.
Exactly. Exactly, Ron. That's an excellent point. This would have happened a long time ago. All right. And I think they were just stalling for the inevitable here. All right.
What's the old line, Bill? If there was a smoking gun, they would have already found it.
Exactly. Okay. It's like, if the guy that killed the person had the gun in his hand, and you captured him with it, you have the smoking gun, literally. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no smoking gun here, because there is nothing. There's nothing here. And the other part of the discussion that came up today, and I saw this on X as well too, is that a lot of people really believe that this is the case, that a certain American drone manufacturer that we won't name, all right, is the one behind all of this, okay, and the one that has instigated all of this,
right?
And I,
again, everybody wants to see American drone companies do one up, but just that tariff should help the American drone companies get a foothold by not having to pay the tariff, right? The tariff should be enough to get the American drone companies started, that they don't have to pay that tariff, right, Bill? That should be enough level playing field.
Yeah. I mean, everybody should have an equal opportunity to promote business here in the United States. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're here in the United States, you should have an equal opportunity to do that. And I'm all for, I would be 100% behind a United States company to build and manufacture drones, consumer drones and commercial drones. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay.
But it's not DJI's fault that these people have sat on their hands for the last 10 years and done nothing. And now they want to jump in 10 years later. I mean, that's not DJI's fault, right, Bill?
Exactly. Okay. It's like, here's the old adage. It's like, all right, and I'll go back. I'll go back to a hockey game. All right. My team is up 2-0. All right. But then all of a sudden they get called for a penalty that's not really a penalty. The other team has a power play and they score a goal and they're back in the game. All right. It's kind of like that, making it, well, that was unfair. Well, this is exactly what this is. This is unfair. Now, and when we say things are unfair here,
look at Lauren's comment. He said, "Can I be real blunt and comment on this topic?" Lauren, you can be as blunt as you want to be, right, Bill?
Absolutely, go for it, Lauren. I welcome what you have to say wholeheartedly. We need to face facts here, folks. All right, DJI is the #1 provider of commercial and consumer drones in the world. Okay.
Right.
All right. I'm just going to go out there and make that statement. Okay. Nobody makes a better product in the drone market than DJI. Okay. There are a lot of other ones out there, but for commercial and for consumer use,
from top to bottom,
top to bottom, they cover the whole gambit here. All right. And it's
anybody in the U.S. is fooling around with drones now. They're only making like $50,000 drones for enterprise. They're not making anything for consumer.
Yeah, there's nothing in the consumer space at all here. And Ron, you know what this reminds me of? Okay, because you're a child of the 60s and you grew up during the same time. It was the big breakup of Bell Telephone. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because Bell Telephone, they were the world. Okay, they had the whole United States. Okay,
yeah.
And then the United States government said, wait a minute, you have a monopoly here. Okay, we need to split you into a million pieces.
And explain to people why that monopoly was bad for us, Bill.
Yeah,
They basically, what do you call it? Rake this over the coals on long distance charges.
exactly. Okay.
If you had a relative in another state or whatever, the bill would be outrageous to talk to him for a half hour.
Oh yeah, my mom would call one of her sisters in Indiana or in Michigan, and it was like, we'd get the phone bill, and it was like $40, for talking to her for a half hour, and it was insane.
Yeah,
It was
that
ridiculous.
monopoly really hurt the consumers.
Exactly. Yeah, Carrasco, Ma Bell. Exactly.
Good old Ma Bell.
And this is the same. I'm trying to use this analogy here because it really is kind of the same here. All right, is we are all for a United States company to get its act together and to manufacture commercial and consumer drones here in the United States. Okay. Everybody, I think, would agree with something like that. All right. I think it would be a fantastic idea here. But you know what? Nobody has, commercial drones. Yeah, they're out there. But as Ron said, they started around $50,000. Even if you wanted as a consumer to think about going to buy a commercial drone from one of them, probably you can't because you're not a first responder or other organization. And number two, most people don't have $50,000 in disposable income to go spend on a drone.
Bill, Lauren put his comment up in the chat. It's like about 4 comments back. He said the U.S. will never be successful in producing a consumer drone that comes close to the DJI process, not because they don't have the knowledge. Is only one reason: the production costs.
Be too high for most consumers to pay. Lauren, you know what? You got it. You absolutely nailed it.
And that's why all U.S. drone companies will focus on the high margin, expensive products, because they can't produce. They more likely won't be able to produce in mass quantities affordable, low cost consumer drones.
Lauren, you nailed it. Okay, you absolutely nailed it. And DJI has gotten production costs down to a minimum here. All right, to where they can still turn a profit, but yet get a reasonable rate of return. And I've long advocated for probably at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. All right. And what I'm hoping for is once the dust settles, once DJI gets its name cleared, okay, that they would go ahead and build a manufacturing facility here in the United States, employ United States employees here, and that our drones that we buy and purchase will come from the United States, okay? Because, really, in essence, I think, based on Lauren's comment, and he's right, DJI's got the process down to a science, okay? And, they employ a great number of people over in China, all right? And I'm sure they pay them good wages over there, all right? What we need to do the same thing. And it's the same model that Honda used, okay? It's the same model that Toyota uses, all right?
When they were faced with tariffs in the late 70s, early 80s, they moved production here and avoided the tariffs.
Exactly. That's what I remember back in the day when I was getting my first Honda, that they were sending people from the dealership, okay? Because they would drive to Chicago and pick up cars. They would actually fly to Chicago and pick up cars or any other port that the cars came in on from Japan to get them over to the dealership fast enough, because they were selling them before they even hit the ground. All right. And it was the same for Toyota as well, too. So in Toyota and Honda got their acts together. And I know, for example, because I lived in Columbus, which was not that far away from Marysville, where the huge, one of the first Honda plant was, that Honda's not unionized. All right. And, they pay their workers incredible wages. They have off the entire month of December for plant shutdown. Their wages are fantastic there. They get benefits that are out of this world there, which are absolutely incredible. And the same Toyota followed the same model, and they have plants all across the United States as well, employing Americans here. All right. So it's a win-win situation here. It's like when I bought my Toyota Tundra, where's it manufactured? San Antonio, Texas. All right. And that's where it came. It didn't come from Japan. It came from San Antonio, Texas, built by Americans. All right. And that's the same thing with these Hondas, built by Americans. All right. So this is the same thing. And I've long advocated for this, that now would be a great time, once the dust settles with all of this, for DJI to build a manufacturing facility over here. And, problem is solved because drones are made in the United States and sold in the United States, and it's employing United States citizens, workers. Okay.
Right.
It's a win.
Yeah. FTFO Media put the comment up, average pay for employees in China manufactures $4 an hour. And I'm sure he's right now, but that applies to everything, not just drones. That's for your phones, all your tech gear. And so that applies across the field. But why is it only being worried about in drones, since drones is a minor thing compared to almost every other electronic device?
Exactly. So this is kind of a win-win here for everybody, and I think DJI is welcoming this scrutiny from the federal government. It's welcoming that one of the alphabet agencies to go in there and to do their deep dive in their security, because, and you know what, Ron, this has been real interesting. I know Stefaniak and the other sponsor of the bill have gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of requests to see what, to tell us, what proof do you have that there's a security, that DJI poses a security threat. And for that matter, I guess Autel as well too, and it's been nothing but silence. Okay. For as long as this whole banning the drone process has been going on, and the discussion about this, it's been crickets. It's been silence. It's been nothing. Nobody has seen a thing about this. Meanwhile, independent audits that have been conducted outside of DJI have shown, I think on 8 occasions, that there is no security concerns at all.
Right. And FTO Media says, again, correct, your iPhone, which has access to a lot more data than your drones do, is also made in China for when people making $4 an hour.
Exactly. And I'm going to point out something else too. Xiegu, okay? And most of you may not know what this name is, okay? Ham radios. They are made over in China. They're affordable ham radios. They're made over in China, okay? Ham radios, okay? Talk about a data and security concern. I mean, ham radios, if you have the right antenna, you can talk around and have enough power, you can talk around the world. That's my other hobby. You guys know that, all right? And I know some of you do ham radio as well too. You guys know that, okay? Why isn't that a concern? Why aren't you looking into Xiegu for all of that? Or Apple with the iPhone? Why aren't you looking into that? All right, shutting that down. I mean, it's the same thing. It's even, in fact, it's probably even more of a secure concern than. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of drones here in the United States. There are millions of smartphones, all right, and probably millions of iPhones.
There's a couple million smartphones for every drone.
Exactly, Ron. Exactly. So
America, but Apple's America. That's why you aren't being targeted. Laura makes a good point there. Lauren also said, okay, so we agree that the production costs are too high. What are the solutions? Well, that's another great question, Lauren. I think that the U.S. government has to come to a realization they need to cede the lower end of the market to DJI. And if they are going to take any part of the market away, it's the higher end enterprise and production drones, what's the high-end camera drone, Inspire, and maybe, again, the enterprise level. That's the things the U.S. should focus on producing, because it's high margins there. They can pay people more money to make those products in the U.S. But it's hard to sell a drone for $250 and pay people, $50 an hour to make it.
And Josh brings up a good point. Amazon is filled with cheap Windows PCs are known to have spyware loaded all over them. Why haven't they been targeted? Okay, and then
and those cheap Windows PCs are almost always made in China. So yeah.
Well, and that's a good point that Josh brings up there, because you think about that, and the whole thing about TikTok and how that and the brakes got put onto that as far as banning them here in the United States. They're still they still haven't been banned. But it's there as well too. And
of course, again, it's kind of like Apple to DJI. TikTok has so many more users than DJI does. It's even funny. I mean, TikTok's used by how many millions and millions of America? Drones just dropping a bucket to TikTok users.
Mm-hmm. It really is. Comparatively speaking, Ron's exactly right on that. So, I mean, you know, I'm actually feeling pretty good about everything, Ron, because I think, you know, I'm not making, I'm being real clear about this. Okay, this is black and white. This isn't Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, anything here. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
both
talking
parties want to get rid of drones, so there's no
exactly.
good guy here.
It's on both sides of the aisle
Yeah,
here,
there's
guys.
there's
This
no
isn't.
good guy on the in this.
Yeah, there's no.
There's only
You
bad
know,
guys.
and I have to say this. This is a good thing. This executive order that Trump's going to sign because it's going to mean one of the CIA, NSA, FBI, whoever is going to actually he's going to force them to go ahead and look at this issue. Okay, and just
Yeah.
I'm just projecting out, and I think probably what's going to happen now. There's been some favorable talk and favorable action for companies that are either building plants in the United States or keeping jobs in the United States. There's a lot of incentives to do that. Okay. And I think once the dust settles on this, I think DJI will get some incentives to actually go ahead and build a facility. Now, it'd probably be a couple of years before it's built and up and running and producing things. But if they get something in the works here, and if they do some agreement, because you as well and I know, Ron, that there's not thousands, there's millions of dollars at stake here. All right.
Right.
And I don't think DJI is taking this lying down, as they say. Okay.
Yeah, of course, DJI is a privately held company, not like a U.S. company where it's shareholders. So we don't really know the inner financials, the company, whatever. And I agree, this could be a good thing, Bill, but also that thing I sent you today, what's his name? The guy, Pilot Institute, where his man reported a news thing that Stefanik has re-entered her bill in 2025 here. It's got different, numbers to it now, whatever. Her bill to ban DJI drones is not only banning future drones, but she even wants to ban current drones in that bill.
Right. I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, like, I definitely wouldn't want to buy a Mavic 4 Pro from a Korean or Canadian seller. So I have this drone over here. Not only can I not get the care, refresh, and support, but I may not be able to fly it in 6 months or whatever, because all DJI drones are banned from flying in U.S. airspace. There'd be $3,000 right out the window.
Exactly. And I think once they conduct this audit, Ron, once they do take a look at this, all right, one thing that they need to be transparent. Okay. This needs to be information that's out there for the public. All right. For public consumption here, and to show us beyond the shadow of a doubt, that there is nothing, that this is a nothing burger.
So you think this could change the tide here or whatever?
I do. I really do. I really do. I think this is, as much as malignment as the president has gotten and continues to get, and like I said, this isn't political here. I think it's a good thing that he's actually going to go ahead and sign this executive order that will enable one of the alphabet agencies to go in there and to take a look at it and to prove what all these other independent audits have proved, that there are no security concerns regarding DJI drones here in the United States. All right. And as we've said, if you're going to do this, you need to do this with iPhones. You need to do this with ham radios. You need to do it with these cheap Chinese PCs. What about our friends like at Banggood and AliExpress? And what's the other one that begins with a Temu? Okay.
Yeah.
The stuff that they sell out there as well, too. And I'll give you another example here. All right. These handheld radios, the handheld ham radios, you can buy them on Amazon, $35. All right. And now you got to be licensed to actually talk on it, but you can listen. But they have something, and you guys who are ham radio aficionados, out here on Bill Jones, you already know this. All right. One of the things that they look for, and that I can test, I buy, there's a spectrum analyzer, and you can buy these. They're relatively cheap. They're under $100. And what you'll do is, you'll hook it up to what's called a dummy load. All right. And then you key the mic. And what you're looking for is on the sign, the wave right there, to not go over a certain level. Okay. And what spurious emissions means is, okay, that's gonna be like interference not only on other bands, but it's sending radio waves out. Okay. And people talk about, a lot of times, because when I'm talking on my phone, you know what? I always have a speaker. I'm never up here like this. Okay. I'm always talking by speaker on that. And because, there's a certain amount of waves that come out from this.
Right.
And that's the same thing with ham radios. Okay. Well, these $35 ham radios, Ron, all right, they're notorious for spurious emissions. Okay. They bleed, okay, radio waves all over the place. Now the good ones, and I have a good one, which is about $400 back there. Okay. Same size and everything. It has almost zero spurious emissions. All right. So, why aren't these regulated? Why aren't we going after companies that, like Baofeng is the name of this company, for example, and they're from China, $35.
KC Crimefire makes a good point in the chat. He says everybody uses phones and computers, so it's easy for politicians to make Americans afraid of drones because only a handful of us use them. Yeah, I mean, if they try to take the smartphones away from users, these politicians would be losing votes at the polls.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if you're the politician that vote to take people, say, iPhones away from them? How many votes do you think you'd lose, Bill? Yeah,
millions.
But he's right. Drones are an easy target. If everybody in his state, every drone user in the state did vote for him, that probably wouldn't even move the needle.
Yeah. And
he's a self-imposed ban. Yeah, I mean, it's a self-imposed ban, but because DJI, they can't afford to have premium drones like the Mavic 4 sitting in customs for who knows how long these drones sit in customs, whether they ever get them back or how much you have to pay to get them shipped back to China again. That's got to be costing DJI a small fortune.
And Joe, to Joe's point right here as well, too, it's not the drones themselves, okay? Because what they're doing over there, and I've seen some articles on this, and this is just from what I've seen, okay? And that's a good point that you bring up here. They're modifying these drones, okay? So, it's like, you could take a toy helicopter that's sold out on Amazon and do the same thing, all right? So, right. And that's a good point, Joe. But what I'm saying is, okay, the way they're manufactured has nothing to do with how these, countries or, terrorists or whoever are using them for warfare. Okay.
Yeah. Because if that was the case, Bill, they would outlaw all drones, American or other drones, that they feared they were going to be used for warfare in the U.S. They wouldn't allow any drones.
Exactly. So, it's that you can weaponize any of these platforms. All right. It doesn't matter.
Right. Car bombs. People put a bunch of explosives in cars and drive them inside buildings. Are we gonna make cars not be able to sell cars?
Yeah. It could get, and that's a great point, Ron. It could get ludicrous to this point here. And I think our friend Casey Crimefighter kind of nailed it on the head right here. This was an easy out. Okay. This was an easy. They're not going to target iPhones. They're going to target drones, okay? Because only hundreds of thousands of people use them instead of millions of people that use iPhones.
Yeah, not millions of people, Bill, millions of voters.
And millions of voters. You nailed it on the head, Ron. That's it. Millions of voters here. So this is what it's all about here, all right? And, and I got to say this, and Marcus did a fantastic video, and I kind of feel he's right in one area, another area as well too. He feels frustrated because he's contacted his congressmen and senators, and you get feedback from them, but it's like, well, did they hear it?
You get the forum response or whatever, the canned response back.
You get a canned response from it. Now, one other thing to that point as well too. One of the things that I read from someone else who's an analyst in things like this, in trying to influence, congressmen and senators and things, they also look at the numbers of responses that they get. All right. And, that has an impact on them as well too. If they get very few responses, then, it's like, oh, okay, nobody really cares about it. But if they're getting a cavalcade of responses, they might pay attention to something like that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's, but, and I can say, I did receive a reply back from my U.S. congressman. I did receive a reply back from one of my 2 U.S. senators at the time, Rick Scott. The other one is Marco Rubio. He's now Secretary of State. So, but I did receive responses back from them. Okay, which was good. I mean,
Right.
They acknowledged that they got it, and and that's, you do the best that you can do. And the other
Of course,
thing,
you live in a state where the local government in your state has already outlawed their police and fire from using DJI drones.
and Casey Crime Fighter brings up a good point right here. The only thing that really moves them is media attention. Writing them might get a small response. You're right, my friend. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
When it just, yeah, Jim, yeah. But pagers as well too. We're retrofitted with explosive use. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we're going to outlaw pagers. Like Bill said, you can weaponize almost any device.
Yeah. Well, Larry, I'm glad you feel better about this. And this is what the show was intended. And Marcus's video was intended. Guys, if you haven't watched Marcus's video, please do so. Okay. Marcus has a great channel to begin with. Okay. But this was an exceptional video that he did. And it was a commentary, which he said in the video, he rarely does a commentary or something like that, but he really felt there was a need to address this. And I think I wanted to take the time, and Ron as well, wanted to make sure you got to level set all of this. Okay. That, it's not like, woe is me, doom and gloom, let's take a header off the bridge. Let's throw all our drones in the trash. It's over. No, it's not. Okay. And
look at Lauren's most recent comment. Remember, a politician's main job is not to represent you, but to get elected first.
Yeah. Lauren's right. Yeah, right. It's all about getting in office, Lauren. You're right, 100%. They do everything they can to get back in office, and we're not going to get into politics. That's one thing we don't do here. But I'm glad. I hope we level set things for you guys tonight. I think it's important to know that and to understand that. And there's some positive things that are going on. So look at that and look in that context as well too. And again, I'm going to state what I stated last week. And I know our good friend Eddie Nunez posted. If you buy a drone overseas, State Farm's not going to cover it, and you're not going to be able. And as far as I know, people have not been able to get DJI Care Refresh with this as well too. From what my understanding, I could be wrong, but this is what I'm finding out. And I did hear back from that seller over in South Korea on eBay that told me that DJI will only honor the warranty in South Korea. They won't honor that warranty here in the United States.
Right.
So,
Bill, we had a question come up, and we didn't have an answer. And you may not either. But okay, if I got a Mavic Pro 4 and I had a crash or an issue with it, could I even, all out of my own pocket, would DJI fix it for me if I was paying all the repair costs out of my own pocket?
If
they knew I was in the U.S.
That's a really good question, Ron. I think that would be something somebody would have to pose to support@dji.com and ask them that question. I would think if you're paying for it, okay, out of your own pocket, 100%, I think that they would do something like that. All right. But understand, number one, that's going to be a high cost for that repair. Number two, filling out that customs paperwork to send it over to China, directly to mainland China, or wherever it would be sent to, probably over in China.
You don't think DJI does any repair work in the U.S. anymore?
I don't think they would repair Mavic 4 Pros in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
That's why you would have to fill out customs paperwork, and I did that once. I sent my FEMI drone back. All right, and let me tell you, it took me a solid 2.5 hours to fill out one form. Okay, and I had to use ChatGPT to help me fill out the form. I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So my best advice is here. Okay. As Dobo said, use the drone that you got. The Air 3S is a fantastic drone. The Mavic 3 Pro is a fantastic drone. Don't even cross that bridge of the Mavic 4 Pro until it's available for sale by DJI here in the United States. And
unless you can afford to lose $3,000, unless you can afford to throw $3,000 away if something happens.
Exactly. And, one of the other pieces of advice that I can give you as well too with that. Okay. Besides, not doing that. Okay. And I talked about this, Ron, before you joined, and I know Billy and Ken, and I know Russ, and Sean, they put out some great content about the Mavic 4 Pro. But for me right now, I'm not watching those videos, not because I don't want to support them or watch them. It's that, okay, I see something, it's a great feature. I can't go out there and do that because I don't have it and I can't get it, kind of a thing. So for me, until it's available here in the United States, it's just a personal decision for me. It's not that I'll watch their other videos all day long. Okay. But as far as the Mavic 4 Pro, I'm kind of like taking a pass for now until this whole situation gets handled, because, it's like, okay, I keep seeing something and I want it, but I can't get it. So, and
yeah. So right now, Bill, we should have ordered that DJI Flip back in January, because that would have been our last DJI drone we may ever get in the US.
That's true. That's true. And Casey Cranfighter, you're right. Okay. Time for us to pull out all our drones and appreciate them. We have to admit, have some great drones in our hands right now. Exactly.
Yeah. But most of us have enough drones that carry us on for years for this to get resolved.
And that's true too, Josh. Just because something new comes out does not make what we have worse than it was. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly, Ray. Exactly. And that's what, that's exactly what, John, that's a good one. Wonder which drone captain. So, Captain Ray, what's the truth here? Okay. Which drone do you sleep with?
His new Mavic 3 Enterprise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Captain Joe says the Flip's available at Romo today. Yeah. In fact, Bill, how ironic is it that the drones we want, like the Mavic 4 Pro, even the Air 3S is hard to get, but a drone we don't like, the Flip, that's easily available. Like, yeah, whoever's trying to stop drones knows the Flips, not really a threat to anything. You can get that.
Exactly. It's like, well, somebody probably has said, "Oh, that's really more of a toy than anything else."
Yeah, we won't stop that thing.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. So, any closing thoughts here, Ron?
No, I think we cover a lot of ground tonight. I mean, it's a great unknown, Bill. We the ban, the executive order is supposed to hit Wednesday, which is tomorrow. It's the great unknown. Everything we're talking about is rumor, speculation. It sounds like doom and gloom with the drone ban, but even all that's a lot of speculation. Stefanik has that bill going, but that bill's been around for quite a while now and hasn't passed. So nothing's written in stone, Bill. That's my final party shot. Nothing's written on stone in this.
Exactly, and I agree with you 100%, Ron. It's like the doom and gloom, woe is me, sky is falling, all that kind of stuff. Let me say this, in addition to agreeing 100% with what Ron just said, there are millions of dollars on the table here, folks, okay, with DJI. And they're not going to take this silently, all right? They're going to be very aggressive in showing that there are no security concerns regarding their drones. They've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt they're going to have to do it again, all right? But once they do it again, once and for all, I think you'll see a shift to where things were. All right.
And it's not it's just not the Chinese losing money. How much money are American resellers losing, Bill?
Yeah. Adorama, B&H, Amazon. I mean,
smaller companies like DroneWorks. These people, that's their livelihood or whatever. So this whole shadow ban is losing money for Americans, hardworking Americans.
And who need these tools to do their jobs. All right. It's exactly what it is. But there's a lot of money out on the table, Ron. And I think smarter heads are going to prevail here. I think things are going to get back to where we would consider more normal. Just be my best advice for you. Number one, enjoy the drone that you have right now, and number two, be patient. All right. There's no gotta have this, gotta do this. You know what? Be patient. All right. And, I look at it this way, Ron. I'm thankful for every day. All right. I wake up in the morning, it's a gift. And, you have the day to enjoy the day. And that's how I look at things. Okay. I've been blessed. Okay. With this right here. All right. With my new teeth. All right. It's a real blessing. You know, I found
and
it.
You're even sounding more like yourself, Bill. You
Thank you,
sound
Ron.
better this week.
Well, I gave a little preview, and I'll kind of also close with this too. Monday I went because there's exposed stitches, and they need to trim them. So I'm figuring, you know, I had it done before. It's really a big deal. Okay. Well, what she did was, because a lot of stitches are really covered by, cover the areas that my temporary teeth are over. So she would use tweezers to pull on it.
Oh, wow.
It was extremely uncomfortable. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was about 40 minutes of that. And then brushing my teeth is different now because not only I got to pull my lips to brush because food, especially in the temporaries, can get caught real easily.
Yeah.
And they give you this special, it looks like it's a syringe, and it has a tube at the end with an angled nozzle to shoot water, because a big no-no is to get like a water pick. They said, right, no, you don't get a water pick after you've had implants, okay? What you want to do is use that injector and squirt water around, because that'll loosen up any food that you have that's trapped underneath there. And it works. It works like a champ. So onward and upward. Oh, this was too funny today, okay? One of my friends sends me a picture, okay? Here's the thing, and Josh knows what I'm talking about. There was a dairy ice cream store in Pittsburgh called Isley's. And a lot of people, you've heard of Klondike's. Everybody's heard of Klondike's, okay? They're the ones that started Klondike. Well, they also had a deli counter there too, and they served a thing called chipped ham. It's very finely shaved ham, okay? And they called it chipped ham, all right?
Okay.
Well, one of my friends posted a picture of a chipped ham sandwich, said, boy, does this look good, Bill. What do you think? From Pittsburgh. And I'm like, yeah, it looks good, but not for 4 months down the road. That's how I can't do that for about 4 months now from now.
Yeah. Josh calls it chip chopped ham.
Yep. Exactly. Josh knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Bill, you're gonna have to just get the ice cream version for right now, huh?
Yeah, the ice cream and the soft foods. Well, one thing that I found that's good, and I'll kind of close things up with this, okay? Crumb cakes, okay? And I found out Sam's makes crumb cakes, and they're very easy for me to eat. See, when I eat, I have to eat something that's soft, because as the dentist pointed out, these are for show, not for go. You don't chew with these at all, because you want the implants to heal, all right? And so that's why I'm eating a lot of soft foods. Like I break meatballs up. I'm having a lot of soup. Meatloaf is good. Fine noodles, the very small fine noodles. And crumb cakes. I found that's what I'm having for breakfast every day.
Wow.
They're working like a champ. So
Ray Kelly.
All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Panthers.
Tomorrow night, huh?
Tomorrow night. Okay. We'll see everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.